Today, I'm going to show you how I found a very profitable book using the Keepa Deals page. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about how to make sure that when you do buy a book on Amazon, to flip back on Amazon, that you are buying it for the cheapest price available. What's up, everybody? If you're new to the channel, my name is Joji. I'm a full-time high school teacher, and I sell books on Amazon FBA as a side hustle. I'm not an expert by any means, but I've been selling on Amazon for the last 6 or 7 years. And this year, I think I'm going to break 100K in sales. Now, that's definitely not profit. Basically, I'm looking at my net take-home pay after taxes to be about like 25 or 30 grand, like somewhere in between there this year. So, it's not a ton of money, but it's an extra couple $1,000s a month. It definitely makes things a lot easier for me and my family. So if you're interested, consider following the channel. But with that said, let's get right into it. Okay, so here is the actual book. This is called Discrete Data Analysis with R. You can see that if we look at the Keepa chart and we look at the use price over time, it's been pretty healthy. It's been, as low as $49.99, but as high as $83, and it's sold in considerable number of times. The way that I know that the book has sold is by looking at the sales rank. The only way that you can see the sales rank is if you actually subscribe to Keepa, and you do have to pay a yearly subscription, but it's completely worth it because it lets you know whether or not the products you're looking at actually sell or not. And that actually matters a lot. If we just look at the used price and the sales rank and we overlap the two, it basically can give us an indicator of what the book sold for. So for example, if we go and take a look at May and June in this area where we see these green sales rank drops, and we look at the used price and also the new price at 88 or Amazon 115, the yellow line here, basically gives us some indication that, hey, this book sold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in this, looks like 2-month span period. And it must have sold for at least $83 if it was used. It would have sold for $91 if it was new from a third-party seller that wasn't Amazon. And if someone did buy it directly from Amazon new, they bought it for $115. So this book has some pretty good historical data to show that it sells for quite a bit of money. And you'll notice that recently, in the past few days here in November, the price of this book saw this very, very steep downward staircase, in price, fall in price, where, started at $83 on November 4th. And 4 days later, it's sitting at $18.54. So to me, when I see a book like this, I automatically want to open it on Amazon to do a little bit more investigation to see, what's going on with this book? Is this a book that profitable or potentially profitable for me to flip it for what it's historically been selling on based upon its Keepa chart? So kind of the first thing that I do when I look at a book is I just want to see if I'm eligible to sell it. So I have a Chrome extension called SellerAmp. It allows me to see if I'm eligible to sell the book or not. So you can see I can sell the book. That's good. Now, another thing that I want to do is check to make sure if there is another edition of this book or not. And usually we'll populate the new edition up here on the Amazon page. Not all the time, but a lot of times it will. Another way is to come down here to the product listing page and look at the date that it was published. A lot of the times, if you find books that were published a long time ago, like maybe before 2010, if they have a pretty healthy selling price, it's probably a good chance that maybe there isn't a new edition, and that's the newest edition. In this case, this book is from 2015, so definitely not out of the realm of possibility that this is the newest edition, but there could be something new out there. Another way we could check is we could just go and copy, this title in and paste in Amazon and also write in the name of the author and see if there's a new edition. I went ahead and did that. I didn't find anything. So this looks like this is the current edition. Also just want to make sure that I'm looking at the correct listing. It looks like there's an e-text book, which we cannot sell. There's a hardcover, and it doesn't look like there's any paperbacks or anything like that. Okay, so basically I see the Keepa chart down below here on the product listing page, and I want to know what I could potentially make if I flipped it for maybe $60 or maybe $83, something that it's historically sold for. So one thing what we can do right now is we could just look on Amazon at the used offers and just figure out like what are some of the prices we could buy this book for. So it looks like there's actually 3 sellers right now at around $22.50. So these 2 sellers are at $18.54 plus $4 shipping. So we have Goodwill of Silicon Valley. So yes, Goodwill definitely sells books on Amazon. This Goodwill is actually pretty small. It only has 1,600 reviews. There are Goodwills out there that have like hundreds of thousands of reviews. So yes, for those of you scanners out there who are going to thrift stores and going to Goodwill and finding books, like they're selling a lot of those books on Amazon. Good for them. I guess good for me too, because I guess now I can buy the books from Goodwill because, even if I don't live in Silicon Valley. But we have Goodwill Silicon Valley, HPB Red, and then we have Textbook Rush. Okay, so let's just go and input this $22.55 because that's right around what these 3 copies are at, the $22.55, and let's go and enter in a price we think we can sell the book for. So based upon the historical data, I think on the low end, to play it conservatively, when this new price dropped down to about $50. I'd say if that were the case, we sold it for 45, we'd make a $4.80 profit, which is not great, obviously, but I think that would be worst case scenario. I think probably something more realistic is maybe around like $75 to $80. So if we put $75 in, look, we're actually going to be profitable. We can make $30 off this book. Now, you do notice that there are 3 copies available. One thing that I will caution you on is you don't want to, go too deep into buying one book, because there are so many books out there that experience repricing wars like this that you can potentially buy and make profit on, that you don't really want to tie all your money up in one book, because even though the data looks very good here and we can make a very good educated guess that this book will probably sell for $75, $80, that's definitely not a guarantee. It's possible that this book could tank and never be needed again on Amazon. So we kind of want to diversify our investment. We don't want to buy too many copies. Kind of what I would say is probably limit yourself to 3 copies. And I would say this also depends on how much capital you have. If you have just a little bit of capital, I probably wouldn't buy more than 1 copy of any book. But if you have, a significant amount of capital, maybe 2 or 3 copies. I'd say 5 maximum. If you're just rolling in the dough, you're like Jeff Bezos, I'd say maybe 5. But you probably wouldn't want to go more than 2 or 3. Okay. And just to add on to that, one other reason why you probably wouldn't want to buy too many copies is that if you look at the sales rank drop and you count the total number of sales, looks like maybe this is sold about 15 to 20 times this year. That really isn't a product that's selling very often. That's something selling once to twice per month. And so if you bought like 5 or 10 of these copies, that just wouldn't be a smart decision, because it just would take you a long time to sell it. Okay, before I decide to buy this book, what I next want to do is kind of check the counterfeit likelihood of this book. Now, there's no great way to do this, but I found that BooksRun has a counterfeit probability calculator check. And what you can do is just copy the ISBN into the search bar here, and it'll return a result. It's probably not 100% accurate, but basically what BooksRun has done has identified books that are highly likely or likely to be counterfeit. Like, there's actually a lot of known cases of counterfeit copies out there. And if it returns the result of unlikely, it just means they haven't come across very many or maybe no cases of all of this book being counterfeit, which is great, because one thing that you don't want to do is risk your Amazon account by selling counterfeit book. Even if it's unknowingly, it's going to be probably very hard for you to defend that you bought it legitimately, because you're probably sourcing it online, you're sourcing it from a thrift store, somewhere that's actually not a real wholesaler, and you probably don't have an invoice for it. So you really want to be careful when it comes to listing your books on Amazon. I definitely would check them through the BooksRun counterfeit probability check. This has come back unlikely, which is good. So now I'm going to go and move on to the next step, which is actually purchasing. I'm going to purchase probably 2 copies of this book. So let's go ahead and look at the used offers. I'm going to go ahead and select the 7 used from 1854. Again, it looks like we have 3 sellers here at around $22. And before we actually just add to cart, I'm going to go ahead and copy the ASIN. And I'm going to come on over to a website called bookfinder.com. And I'm going to go ahead and just paste in the ISBN there to make sure that the prices I see on Amazon are the cheapest prices available. These are the results that Bookfinder has returned to us. And it actually turns out that the books that we were looking at on Amazon are not the cheapest copies that we can find online. It actually looks like BooksRun themselves is selling it on 4 different marketplaces, actually 5 different marketplaces. So these people they're diversifying their listing. So they're listed on eBay, AbeBooks, Biblio, Valor Books, and also BooksRun. So BooksRun right now is the cheapest at $19.97. But I'm actually going to check out here on Biblio, because I'm a Bibliophile member. And if you're a Bibliophile member, you get 10% off. Now, interestingly, I'm not actually even going to use my Bibliophile member code here, because it looks like Coupon Birds was able to find me a 15% off coupon code. So it looks like I'm going to get $3 off the price here of $20.84. And so now the new price is $17.71. So let's come on back over to the Amazon page, and let's just go and type in our buy cost, $7.51. Now, I do have a prep center, so I'm going to get charged $1.85 for the prep to get this book, to get shipped from my prep center into Amazon. Now, I'm pretty sure with this book, I can sell it for $75 based upon the history. But if, worst comes to worst, I have to sell it for $50, I'm still going to be profitable. I think selling it for $45 is still very, very, very likely in the worst case scenario. And in that case, I'd still make about $10 profit after all my fees. So I think this is definitely a strong buy. Now, like I said, I am going to buy 2 copies of this book. I don't want to buy more than that. So the first copy I'm going to buy for $17.71. And then if we go back to Bookfinder here, we can see that the next lowest copy is actually on eBay for $21.19. Actually, that's BooksRun. It's actually $21.23, Silicon Valley Books. So I'm going to go ahead and also check out on that copy. And I'm going to leave the other 2 copies there available. So if you're somebody who's watching this video and you think that you can flip 1 or 2 books, then, go for it. Buy 1 or 2 of those copies, and maybe you can make a little bit of money as well. So I'm sure you're wondering where I found this book, and I just found it using the Keepa Deals page. I've ton of videos on my channel of how to use this tool, but essentially I just typed in Keepa Deals. This does require a Keepa subscription to use this. And over here on the left, I chose to look at used product. I chose to look at 1 month interval drops. I said I want to see a drop percentage of a book of at least 50%. And I want to see the dollar amount drop to be $40 or more. I want the current price of the book to be within $0 to $20. And I want the sales rank currently to between 1 and 1.5 million. And basically these are the results that came back. And you can see if I scroll down the list, about 20 or so books in, I came across this discrete analysis book. And when I hovered over the page and look at the bottom right, I was like, oh, this looks interesting. This is like this book used to be valued at a certain amount of money, and all of a sudden it's dropped. So maybe that's potential for profit. And basically what I do is I just go through this page, and there's definitely tons of nuggets here. There's also tons of books that you probably wouldn't want to look at, but even this book right next to it looks pretty interesting to me. Let's go and take a look at that book. We can look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sales in the last month. Not very good, but a couple of those sales were for north of $70. One was even for $100, and all of a sudden the price is now at $17. Now, I probably wouldn't buy this book for a couple of reasons. One, the used offer count is really high at the moment. It's about 10 right now, versus in the past it's been as low as 3. And for a book that doesn't sell very frequently, used offer count, like increase in used offer count like that much matters a lot. So I probably wouldn't buy that book, but that's just to show you an example that of kind of what I do. So maybe let's just do a little bit of live sourcing to end the video here, and let's just see if we can find a book that we might want to look at. And what I'm doing is just hovering over each of these books to see kind of what the book is selling for historically, and then seeing if there's been a recent drop in price that I might want to look at to see if we can make some profit on it. So let's take, now going. So you can see I do this pretty quickly. Okay, so here's an interesting book. We look at the sales rank, number of sales at $50. There's also the new price here is about $59 as well. And then look, price of this dropped down to $9.38. So I would definitely look at this listing to see what's going on. So it looks like we have a seller right here selling this for $9.38 plus $3.99 shipping. And I think this Keepa chart looks great. Like, this book has sold recently as well a number of times. I don't see a new listing or a new I don't see a new edition of this book. It looks like this is an international edition, which is not necessarily a bad thing, as long as the book that you're buying is an international copy and you're selling it on the international listing, then that's fine. Let's take a look at the hardcover. Hardcover, it looks like it's a different listing, but 6th edition. So yeah, this is the international edition. Usually international editions are the same exact material, just they're branded differently, so therefore they're cheaper. Yeah, I think this is a book that you can definitely make money on. Look at the history of this book, like, it has never been this low before, so this would be a great pickup. So I'm actually going to buy this book as long as the other stuff checks out as well. So I'm eligible to sell it. That's good. I'm going to come over to the books run book counterfeit probability check. We're going to put the ISBN there to see what the counterfeit likelihood of this book is. Can't even find the book, probably because it's an international edition. I would doubt that the international edition would be counterfeited. If anything were to be counterfeited, it'd probably be the hardcover, because it looks like, to buy it, it's over $200. So I will go ahead and pick up a copy of this book, because I think this is a great deal. Let's go ahead and just input the buy cost, and then see how much we can sell it for and what the profit would be. But actually, quickly, let's put this in a book finder, see if it's cheaper on another site. Okay, so it looks like it's not. I think what we have to do is actually get the ISBN. And it looks like there isn't even an ISBN. There's only an ASIN. So that's interesting. There's no ISBN for this book. There might be, it just might not have been put onto the listing. Let's just go ahead and put in the buy cost and see what we could potentially make. So we're going to spend $9.38 plus $4. So that's going to be $13.37. Realistically, what can we sell this for based upon history? I would say, look, the new price is coming in at $65.99 plus shipping. So 66 plus 4 is about $70. But interestingly, the buy box is here at $79, and there's actually no prime sellers. So for those of you who are new to selling on Amazon, third-party new sellers, when their shipping speed usually isn't the fastest, which means as a prime seller, even when you sell your book used, you can usually sell your book very near the price, or sometimes even more than the new price, depending on things like how popular the book is. If the book is very, very popular and a lot of people are buying it, it's definitely happened to me many times where I've sold a used book for more than the new price. So I'm not going to bank on trying to sell on it for more than $65.99, but considering that the buy box is $79.90, I bet you that I could probably get the buy box at like $75. And in that case, I'd make $40. But I would say that's absolute best case scenario. I mean, again, you see that the buy box right now is $9.38, and that's because there's that one seller that's super low. I don't know if, if they just mispriced this book or if they're just trying to sell it quickly because they're worried about restock limits. I have no idea, but actually they have 2 copies. I didn't even see that. They have 2 copies available. So that's good. I'll go ahead and buy both of those copies. 2, maybe three copies max. And I think the data on this looks pretty good. Okay, so let's go ahead and put maybe a more realistic price for what we can get. I would say, you'd be the only prime seller right now. I'd say realistically, or pretty conservatively, you could probably get $55, sell it for $55, and then you'd make a $22 profit. Worst case scenario, I'd say you sell it for like $40, but I highly doubt it would ever get that low, based upon the history that I'm looking at. Like the used offer count looks good. It's really low. It's as low as it's ever been. Like I said, I don't see a new edition out. The hardcover is very, very expensive. So definitely a student's going to rather buy the international edition than the hardcover. So everything looks to be checking out to me here. And, maybe the only thing that kind of scares me a little bit is the fact that this seller over here has 82% feedback, which is not amazing, but I think it's still going to be worth it. So I'm also going to check out those 2 books. Okay, so I'm over here on the checkout page, and just a quick little tip that you can do here is that this person had 2 books available, like I had quantity 2, so 2 copies of this book. Sometimes, what you want to be careful about is the seller having more than just what you see there. In this case, I'm actually just going to put the quantity to like 9 just to see what happens. It should come back that, okay, there's only 2 available, which is great. So you can see there's only two books available right now in the used condition. So I'm gonna go and save that quantity. Now I'm gonna go and check out with that. All right, let's go and continue with some of the live sourcing. So came across this book of Revelation book, and this is interesting. You see that it's sold a couple times in the past year for over $90, and then all of a sudden the price went all the way down to $5. It's sold once again. I probably wouldn't pick this book up though, because even though it has sold twice, it just hasn't really sold a lot. And also the used offer count is creeping up pretty high. But, that's interesting. And if we look back a little bit further back in time, it sold for $45. This was probably a sale here as well as there. So probably $90 and also $75. And then a sell there at $4, sell there at $4. So, interesting book. I probably wouldn't buy that one, but just got to keep going down, see if we can see anything else that just jumps out on us. And so I'm just doing really quick Keepa analysis in my head to see if any of these might make sense to look at a little bit further. And really, it's just a numbers game, right? Because the more books you look at, the more likely you are to get lucky. So we see some sales here on 30. There were a couple sales at 58, and then now the price is at 11, or it looks like $12. So this is a book that could have some potential. But something that kind of scares me a little bit is that, this book has been a lot lower before, and it's just recently increased in price. But, maybe you could, there definitely is an upward trend here. Like you see that the new price is doing nothing but going up over time. So is the used price, with the exception of now. So maybe you buy 1 copy, and let's go ahead and just take a look at the used offers for this book. You could buy it for $12.30 plus 4 shipping, so about $16.29. 2 copies from the same person, and then it goes right up to $70. So this is definitely a book that has some potential. Now you might not want to buy both of them, but maybe you buy 1 copy. I mean, historical data has shown that it's been selling for about $55. So let's say you pick it up for, I forget what it was, $16 or $17, and you sell it for $59, which is what it's historically sold for in the recent past. You make a good $23 profit, but book in the past was a little bit lower than that, so I probably wouldn't pick up that book. But I think, like, if I did pick up the book, I think I could probably still make money selling it. All right, that's all I got for you in today's video. So I hope you enjoyed the process of doing a little bit of live sourcing and also taking a look at how I walk through purchasing a book. And yeah, if you found it valuable, subscribe to the channel and join the journey. Peace.